Hello and welcome to another episode of Untold Chapters. Today I have the absolute pleasure of introducing for you our guest today, Des Lynam. Known for his smooth and witty style of commentary, Des Lynam is a famous Irish-born television and radio presenter who has hosted many major sporting events in his career. He was appointed Officer of the Order of the British Empire in the 2008 New Year Honours. In 1977, Des transitioned over to television where he hosted Sportswide, Grandstand, Sports Night and Match of the Day, as well as major events like Wimbledon and the Football World Cup. In 1999, he switched to ITV, covering the Champions League and World Cup, and also presented non-sporting shows such as Holiday, How Do We Do That, and Countdown. The illustrator for both of Des's beloved books is Bryony Hill, the wife of Des's great friend and colleague, the late Jimmy Hill. Thank you for agreeing to come on to Untold Chapters, and thank you for making the time for it as well. Would you like to introduce yourself for our viewers?
I've written a book, book's called Now Who's Talking, about animals talking to each other in English, as it were.
What inspired you to write the Now Who's Talking book series rather than a book in relation to sports, given your sports background?
Well, I've done sports books before, including my autobiography, and they're somewhat limited. But what inspired me to do this was simply looking out the window and seeing how animals behave with each other. And I put voices to them. And the idea was to amuse people. And I think that's had that effect.
Who is your ideal target reader for your books?
Well, as the publishers themselves wrote to me when I came up with the original idea, was that the appeal of these books is to everybody. It's about humor. It's not about the animals as such. It's not for children. It's for people with a sense of humor who get a smile from these stories, hopefully.
What inspired the format of the book with the conversations for the different animals? So was it just because when you were, looking out the window and saw the magpies and sort of decided on that certain format?
Yes, and then I rang up my good friend Bryony Hill, who's the widow of Jimmy Hill, my former colleague at the BBC. And I was telling her about the idea I had for this. She said, well, can I do some drawings? I said, certainly. I knew she's a great artist. She's a member of the Royal Academy. And she did the drawings for me, which added to the book. And the publishers were delighted with the end product, as was I.
I love the watercolor style of the drawings as well all throughout the book. So what message would you like for the reader to take away from the book?
What will readers take away from the book? They'll have had some fun with it. They can dip in and out of it any time, on any page, really. They don't have to read the books from beginning to end. They can pick out their favorite stories, or they can read all of them. And some will amuse them. And some will laugh heartily at them. I hope. That's the hope. They're just amusement books, really.
So for anyone, wanting to write their own book or sort of trying to decide what book they're wanting to write, do you have any advice, any tips and tricks for them?
No, not really. I think that they always say if you're writing a book, write about something you know about. Well, I didn't know anything about animals very much, not a specialist knowledge, but I made sure I didn't make mistakes, or tried not to make mistakes when I wrote about them. For example, when I read about the baby alligators, I didn't know until I read it up that when alligators are born, of crocodiles, they often live within the mouth area of the parent. Well, they're very tiny before they're let out to swim in the river or whatever it is. I also didn't know that hippopotamuses don't swim. They walk on the riverbed. They can swim if they're pushed to it, but they don't like to swim. They just wade through the water. Now, I've gone on to the zoo animals there, haven't I? But I researched these stories quite well, so I didn't make any boo-boos.
So the more that you've written for certain animals, have you started absorbing the different facts, so now you'll be great at any trivia that you come across or anything of the sort?
Well, I might be, but some of it I retain, some of it I don't retain. But I just wanted to, when I was dealing with these animals, that I didn't write about them and get what they do wrong.
Hmm.
For example, bats. I read about bats, and bats, of course, fly. But I was amused to write about a bird questioning what they were. Were they really, weren't they birds? They must be birds if they fly. But of course, bats fly.
Hmm.
And they really emerge to life during the nighttime, sleep all day. In contrast to the real birds, feathered variety, who are active during the day and sleep at night. So I wrote a little story about two bats. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Two bats in conversation. You'll never guess what happened yesterday. What happened? Well, I was just leaving the garden shed about 10 o'clock, nice and dark, lots of insects, when this bird approached me. What did she want? She wanted to know what kind of bird I was. Cheek. She said only birds could fly. So I set her straight and showed her a bit of the old Douglas Baaders, looping the loop and all that. Was she impressed? Hard to say. She was a bit put out about me hanging upside down while we were talking. She thought I was preoccupied. Are you going to see her again? Not in the daytime, obviously. That's when I'm asleep. And she and her pals do all that flipping singing. That's the story about the bats.
Oh, honestly, that's really, really cute as well. As an added bonus, Des has done a reading from his first book.
This is Two Cats. What's got your back up today? It's this flipping bell. It always looks nice. It may do, but if you had it tinkling in your ear every time you moved, you'd be unhappy. Well, you've had to wear it because you were chasing the birds. Now they can hear when you're on the prowl. Well, I'm not going to lie, I get these terrible migraines. How come you don't have to wear one? I don't chase birds. I chase mice. I'm a hero when I catch one of them. Take my advice, old son. Go on the mice for a while. Perhaps deliver one to her indoors, and she'll think you're reformed. Oh, it's no use talking to him. He's off again. I think the birds are just having a laugh.
It's always interesting to see, like the conversations for each animal, and especially like when you're actually telling the story as well, you sort of get submersed in it as well. So honestly, absolutely fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to, come on an episode of Untold Chapters, and I wish you the best of luck when it comes to writing further stories with, more animals to, see what they get up to and what types of conversations they have.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Untold Chapters. If you would like to see more, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. To purchase your version of either of Des's books, you'll find the links in the description.